These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
10 wins in this league through 12 opportunities. I think they've earned the right to feel confident, but I do think we got to continue to prepare like every single week is the most important game of our season, because that's what we've done. I give our players a ton of credit, our leadership a ton of credit for that. And as we move forward here, we're going to continue to be tested, and we're going to have to earn the right to go into these games with confidence. This 10-2 record means absolutely nothing. We got to go prepare, get better, and play our best here towards the end of the season.
There he is, Kevin O'Connell. I think Kevin O'Connell needs to just maybe break away from the facade for 10 seconds to get the flag. That's what I would tell him. It means nothing, but it does mean something. Get the flag. I love how Sports Dad's there. He's waving the flag. His mic is muted. His notes are flying up in front of the camera.
It means everything. All I'm here for is the flag.
His notes are flying up in front of the camera.
I had a lot of notes from yesterday. A lot of notes. There was a lot to that game. I had to get them off the camera.
Oh, man. Well, we'll get into some of those notes here and some of our key statements from the weekend, mostly the Vikings, I would assume here. Mackey and Judd, daily Minnesota sports, entertainment, therapy, speculation. We're here for you guys. If you missed Vikings Vent Line on the Purple Daily YouTube channel yesterday, you can check that out. It was kind of a roller coaster of emotions for people trying to process what happened at times in that game against the Jets. But I'd love to do the honors here, hit the first breakfast ball on statements if you guys are okay with that. May I do the honors?
Yeah, absolutely.
Stella can fill. Okay, yeah.
No bathroom breaks.
Stella's good
Everyone's
with it?
good. Everyone's good. I'm good.
Stella's good with it.
Digestive systems are good. Are we good here for the show?
Are we set?
Yes,
Okay, Declan had to leave Purple Daily early today because
Prepare for lunch in 10,
ate fast
9,
food last night. But.
8.
All right, my first statement, and Kevin O'Connell made reference to this in yet another entertaining post-game locker room speech. But my statement is, the Vikings were situational masters in that win yesterday.
My statement.
I stole your statement there?
I had it written down verbatim. The Vikings are situational masters. Number one.
Yes.
I've got it too.
Situational football.
Except my statement was situationally sound.
We all were all thinking the same thing.
We were all in the same exact.
Situational football. Let's talk about it. The Vikings were 9 of 18 on third down offensively yesterday. They're now up to, I believe, 42% for the season. If I'm, unless maybe I might have doubled up on that math, but they are up from last year on third down offensively. 9 of 8, they had 18 third down opportunities, and they converted half of them, which is very, very good. On defense, situationally, they held the Jets to 19% on third down, just 3 of 16. And they held the Jets to 1 for 6 in the red zone, scoring touchdowns. So third downs, red zone, situational football at its finest for the Vikings yesterday.
Yes, I also loved the call. I think it came in the first half with the ball at, I think, the Jets 49 to go for it on fourth down, which had followed an earlier decision with the ball on the Jets 47 not to go for it, which surprised me. So, and I know that O'Connell on fourth down calls less times goes with his gut. Like he has said, I don't necessarily, he said some of the people on the sideline get mad because the metrics say to do one thing, and at times I will just go with my gut. But anyway, I thought that fourth down was a great call, and I love it when you can go behind the numbers like this, because I mean, if you just look at some of the big picture stats, they're not good. But I mean, how do you win a football game? 9 of 18 on third down, right? 3 of 16 on third down, right? Like, I mean, that's the win right there.
Yes, because a lot of games find their way to just be kind of close. Whether you're playing great or not, the game flow sometimes just kind of finds its way, whether it's high scoring, low scoring. It's like within a touchdown in the fourth quarter. And so if the game is close, these high leverage situational moments become the key.
Yep.
And third down, red zone are two. If we had like a Mount Rushmore of football situations, situational football, Wouldn't you say it's probably 2 and 4 minute drill?
Yes.
I would just like maybe say 4 minute drill. I would say third downs, red zone, and then pick another one. I don't know, middle 8 or something. I don't know.
But that is if you are not going to put your foot on the throat of opponents, which the Vikings have clearly shown they're not going to do, you have to be situationally sound.
Yeah. Well, they put their foot on the throat at the very, very end. They just kind of like they let the opponent like rehydrate and kind of come back.
They had the ball to start the third quarter, and if they score there, that game flow changes completely. But if you're not going to do that, which this team does not, then yes, you have to be situationally sound.
Situational.
Therein lies the W. In fact, you know what? All right, let's just do it again. Let's do it again. My notes now are below my computer, so they can't blow around. There it is.
Amazing. I love that we all three had the same note there, too.
I did.
Great, man.
All right.
That's how you win games in the National Football League.
So my statement is the Justin factor. I want to get into Jefferson's game. I want to dive down deep here and dissect his game because on the surface, 7 catches, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. For Justin Jefferson, as we discussed on Purple Daily, that's an okay day, but I mean, we don't rave about that. But here is the difference in having a guy who's a superstar, okay? Second quarter of Sunday's game, back-to-back plays. I'm going to give you the difference maker here, and that's what this guy is. The first one, Kirk throws him a pass behind the line of scrimmage, and it's clearly an option for Justin Jefferson, who's got a good arm to pass, okay? He looks. Now, ordinarily, how many times have we seen receivers look and freak? They're like, no one's open. What am I going to do? I'm not really a quarterback. Jefferson literally surveys the field like a quarterback, very patiently. And then says, okay, there's nothing here. Now, at that point in time, a lot of guys will cower, or they'll try and gain 2 yards. He ran for 8 yards on 3rd and 5. Go back and watch that play. And I know it's Jefferson, so we take it for granted. That's an incredible play. He handled it like a quarterback would. Like I challenge Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson to make a better play there. Because he didn't force a dumb throw, which he easily could have done. He then surveyed it, and because he's so great athletically, had enough time to say, screw it, took off and ran and got a first down. The next play is the 10-yard crossing route on which he gets absolutely wiped out, takes a huge hit. Now, we can debate the flag on the safety, but they threw it, and that puts the ball at the 4 to set up the Dalvin Cook touchdown. That's the Jefferson factor here. Like, we can look at the stats and be like, okay, that's a nice day, but for him, it's not great. And yes, he had the drop ball. But those 2 plays right there are what having a superstar, what having a Kaprizov, what having a Jefferson does for your team.
Yeah.
It's an incredible sequence.
He's a great chess piece, right? You can, and they're kind of setting up for some different things. Now you have to prep for the fact that about once every month, he's going to look to throw. He might not throw, but you have to prep for that during the week, just the different ways that they can get him the ball. And so, yeah, like it was one of his more pedestrian games of the season, in part because the Jets secondary is awesome. But how about that? In a pedestrian game, he's still like a threat on a trick play. He's going to pick up a first down in that way. He's going to catch 7 passes. He's going to be a threat in the red zone, catch a touchdown. So I thought it was, considering the secondary and the defense they were playing, I thought it was probably one of his 3 or 4 best games of the year. Just quality of opponent and trying to separate from those 2 cornerbacks. It was great. I'd love to watch him go against that secondary again sometime, but they're probably not going to. Jets probably aren't going to get that far.
You don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl?
Unfortunately, no. All right, Dax, what's your statement?
All right, my first statement, I'll go with this one. The Vikings should be taking notes. Who should they be taking notes on? They should be taking notes on the 2009 Saints defense, a defense that Vikings fans loathe and honestly kind of crutch to as a big reason why they lost the NFC Championship game. I think that's kind of a little bit overblown. You lost because you had 5 turnovers. I understand there was bounties going on. And ethically, is that the right thing to do? Probably not. But regardless, that 2009 Saints defense is actually a pretty good blueprint for how you can win a Super Bowl. So the 2009 Saints defense was pretty bad when it came to yards and points. 25th in yards, 20th in points, but they were, guess what? Situational masters.
Situational football.
That's a great band name. Situational man.
It is a really good band name. I like that one too. They were third in turnover percentage, and in the red zone, they were the number one defense in the red zone. The 2009 Saints defense, the defense that gave up the 25th most yards in the NFL that season, had the number one red zone defense. Why? Because they were situational masters. They figured out ways to get after the quarterback. They figured out ways to find turnovers. I understand the bounty gate makes Vikings fans get a little sour for how things ended there, but that 09 Saints team was able to still win a Super Bowl with a defense that was mostly a sieve from a yardage perspective, but were situational masters. The Vikings should be taking notes.
They should, and they have work to do. They are not the 2009 Saints defense, but it's probably the closest of like the last 15 years. All right, the ship has sailed on you being the 2017 Vikings, who didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. You're not going to be a great yardage defense at this point. You're not going to fix that in December. But if they can keep ratcheting up the turnovers, if they can keep getting better, putting clamps down in the red zone, that's kind of their best path is to just like lean into the bend but don't break, but don't bend as much and break less. Like they're still breaking too much.
He's right, though.
They're still breaking too much.
And don't do this. And don't do that either.
So yes, that Declan has nailed the blueprint of if this team is going to win the Super Bowl, that is the defense that you need to sort of profile up against. So, on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to steal a line from our guy Larry David and say that scoring 27 points on this Jets defense is pretty good.
The Jets.
Pretty good. They've allowed the Jets leading into this game 13 points per game over their previous 7 games. The Vikings more than doubled that output. The Vikings have now faced, in the last month, the 4 best defenses in the NFL. They've hung 27 or more points on 3 of the 4. And then they scored 3 on Dallas. And that counts. But and it's funny because when you look at the games, especially this Jets game, that's a lot of points. If I were to tell you they're going to face some really good defenses, and against 3 of them are going to average over 30 points, you'd say, whoa, that is some crazy good offense. But I don't think in the last month we have seen crazy good offense. We've seen some spurts. We've seen what they can do on some drives. We've seen Kirk O'Chains come out a few times. So it's kind of amazing to me that they're hanging 27 on the Jets, 33 on the Patriots, 33 on the Bills. And they're doing it without their best offensive punch. I don't think we've seen it yet. So the Patriots game was probably the closest we've come to seeing it because it was like kind of a sustained thing over almost 3 hours. But however you can do it, if you score 27 and 33 points against the best defenses in the league, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's weird because it seems like the Vikings, when they absolutely have to, can get points, right? Fourth quarter, you got to have points. But yeah, I don't know. If you went back right now, how many complete games have the Vikings played? Like where there's no disappearing act on either side of the ball, too. Because
the closest was the Patriots game.
Yeah.
But that wasn't, I mean, they gave up 400 yards to.
I mean, the Packers game in week 1 was a pretty good win as far as what, 16?
That's true. They just, but the offense did not score in the second half, right?
Yeah,
the offense get shut out in the second half.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But yeah, it's weird because they get points when they have to. Their point total is not like embarrassingly bad, but the eye test when you actually watch their games is a little bit funky because it's like, where did the offense go?
I lied. The offense kicked 2 field goals in the second half against the Packers, but it was not a good second half for the offense.
Yeah, point taken.
So yeah, what is their most complete game this year as a whole team?
Packers.
Probably the Packers game. But I guess. But that's like it almost feels like it's still in the future. Patriots, the Bills, but the Bills was wild. I mean, that was
and they were down by 17, right?
Yes.
So like that's hard to credit them with a complete game there.
Yeah, I would say like complete game would be, and the Packers game is one of the only ones that game flowed like this, where your offense jumps out, you have a lead, your defense plays really well, and you just kind of you coast to a fairly easy win, right? That is not a game flow that exists.
Like yesterday. You come out in the third quarter, you've got the ball, you drive down the field, you score a touchdown, the Jets say, we're going home.
Yep, that could have happened. Yes.
Don't give hope. Take
Robert
hope
Saleh
away.
is also, he's got those guys playing. Like, Robert Saleh is a pretty legit head coach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they can find a real quarterback at some point.
Yeah,
Could be interesting for them.
unfortunately, they probably can't right now. All right, my statement is this. Roll the tape. And what do I mean by that? Here's what I mean by that. The Vikings are a playoff lock. They are going to win the division. They can win the North possibly as early as Sunday, where if they beat the Lions, they are the champions for the first time since 2017. Roll the tape, though. If I am Kevin O'Connell, I very, very quietly have some of my coaching staff defensively start to implement things for San Francisco, for Dallas, which I believe put up a 50 burger on the Colts last night.
Where they scored 33 in the fourth quarter last night.
It's
weird.
Yeah, and the Colts. I mean, the Colts are the Colts. So I'm not saying that I'm shocked, but that's a lot of points. And Dallas is playing really well right now. But the point is, I am starting to make alterations and schematical changes potentially for those teams because I'm going to face them in the playoffs, and your players are your players. Like there's no magic coming in here now. Now Dantzler is going to come back. Hopefully that will help. But I mean, you can't make trades. You're not going to sign guys right now. And so what I am doing is I am preparing behind the scenes for the toughest teams that I might face offensively. Because here's what I need. I need to have an understanding of, I understand what the system is here, but I also need to utilize the personnel to the greatest of their abilities. Perfect point. Patrick Peterson has had a great year, right? And I think they've done Patrick clearly fits into what they're doing scheme-wise really well. And that's been awesome, and he's been great. But there's definitely, you watch this defense sometimes, and I think there's definitely some guys that aren't being used probably to the best of their abilities. I will give you one guy, and he's having a good year, but I will give you one guy who I think there's more from if you create deception with him, and that is Harrison Smith. He's getting picks because he's playing a traditional two-high safety more. Those picks aren't because he's great now. Those picks are because he's actually back where safeties are. I think, and we saw this again, you guys, in the first half, Harrison Smith at times approached the line of scrimmage, did some things that he used to do, and I think he's incredibly valuable there. So my point is, I want Donatel to marry scheme and personnel better because I think that's the only way to beat playoff teams.
And by the way, there have been 3-4 defenses in the past, the Ravens and Ed Reed, that allow a safety to freelance and come up to the line of scrimmage. Yeah. So like it's not just like a schematic. Oh, it's sorry, the scheme calls for, you can get creative within the scheme. And we looked it up last week. I agree with you on the Harrison Smith front. In terms of how many times he has been used as a rusher, a pass rusher, a blitzer on pass plays, it used to be a fairly regular occurrence, like multiple times per game. They would let him either on his own, based on what he saw, or a called blitz. He would rush the passer, and he was pretty good at it. And he doesn't do that really ever. He's done it like, I think 6 times all year going into this game we saw. But it did look in the first half, I saw the same things you did, where all of a sudden he's like up on the line of scrimmage, and he's in the backfield on this run play. Oh, it's interesting. Yeah. Let him be Harrison Smith.
Right. But I mean, I am preparing for potentially Debo. I'm preparing for McCaffrey. I'm going to prepare for Pollard, and those guys right now currently scare me beyond belief because the Vikings haven't shown that they can stop them. So for one game, 4 quarters, can you come up with a scheme to stop them?
So are you not prepping for the Lions then? You're just on to Dallas right now? You're on to Philadelphia?
This is more
You're not prepping for the Colts?
This is more mad scientist stuff. So like, yeah, I'm still prepping for them, but look, you've got time now to get yourself ready. That's my thing. And this defense is currently constituted, as we saw in the second half, like those chunk plays in a playoff game will end you because the teams that you are going to play will not quietly go away and kick field goals in the red zone, which the Jets did, which was great. But I am getting a plan in place now for what you're going to see, and most importantly, what has really gashed you, which is guys like Pollard, McCaffrey, Samuel. Go through that list.
This sounds like a good excuse maybe to get a group of Vikings coaches together and head on out to Park Tavern, the official sports bar of the sports dad, Judd Zulgad. They specialize in group outings, whether it's fantasy football or coaches scheming for a playoff game.
Yes. So if you do want to put together a group, have a party, have a get-together, it's as simple as this. 952-929-6810 or go to parktavern.net. And here's what I could say. So if KOC was like, you know what, that sounds like a great idea. We're going to get a big banquet room because the Park Tavern has tons of rooms, perhaps some bowling as well. I got some advice. KOC, get one of these. Yes, this says a Black Friday. It's a $100 gift card. And right now, for most people, they get a $25 bonus gift card with it. But if you go into Park Tavern right now and say, you know what, give me, Sports Dad said, the gift card, you get the full $50 value that people got on Black Friday. So Park Tavern is the place to have the group together. Absolutely plenty of room, as easy as can be. Located on Louisiana Avenue South in St. Louis Park. Parktavern.net. Kevin O'Connell. Parktavern.net is where you want to book this. Park Tavern will take care of the rest.
Yeah. Also, for terms of gift ideas and stocking stuffers, Jonna, my wife, was asking about what's that little candle situation that I saw Judd posting about there, huh? What's that all about?
Guess what showed up on our doorstep again, not once but twice over the weekend, and I'm going to tell you right now, the Zolgads are paying. Well, actually, it's Dawn because she loves Spiral Light candles. SpiralLightCandles.com is the place to go. And I got a note from a guy that said, I can't give my wife just a candle. I'll be in trouble. Dude, don't give her just a candle. This is part of the gift. This is in the stocking. This right here is Judd's Purple Positivity candle, because when you're flying the flag, you're also burning the Spiral Light candle to celebrate a Vikings win. Dawn got the like a gift pack this weekend, and it's just full of great candles, great scents. I'm telling you right now, guys, your wife, your girlfriend, your mom is going to love it. SpiralLightCandles.com. Check them out and be a hero as part of the gift package.
Yes, amen. All right, back to the statements here. So I will say, my next statement is the first half defense was the blueprint. Declan already kind of alluded to like the Saints from 2009 being a team you should take notes on. While you're taking notes on the 2009 Saints, take notes also on your own defense from the first half. And we just looked this up between Purple Daily and Mackie and Judd. So the rotating of edge rushers, I think, was a huge, huge factor in the Vikings' first half success. Patrick Jones was excellent in the first half. He had a sack. He was wreaking havoc. He played 20 snaps in this game. He was basically part of the second line. If the Vikings' defensive line was like hockey lines, Wanham and Patrick Jones were the second line behind Za'Darius Smith and Danielle Hunter. And Wanham and Patrick Jones kind of subbed in as the outside linebacker / edge rushers on at least 2 first half series. And that, I think, is where the majority of their 20 snaps came from. And then the second half, it looked like the Vikings were leaning more on Za'Darius and Danielle as the game got a little closer and whatnot. I wouldn't necessarily move away from the rotation. The rotation clearly kept guys fresher in the first half.
Yep.
And it clearly worked to some extent. Now, are there going to be egos to check? Like, hey, I know we're in the fourth quarter of a close game here, Danielle and Za'Darius, but we're going to run the second line out there, Wanham and Patrick Jones, to keep you guys fresh. I know there's probably some politics that go into it, but I thought it worked very well in the first half. And then we already kind of mentioned like Harrison Smith, some of the exotic blitz looks. I counted at least 2 Chandon Sullivan blitzes in the first quarter. That's like right. Chandon Sullivan blitzes. Corner. Eric Kendricks came on a blitz that led to a near interception. I think it was more of a zone blitz with Wanham dropping back into coverage. So just some really good creative stuff in the first half. And then the second half, I don't know if it's actually someone someone said, I think it was from PFF yesterday, or maybe it was one of the Vikings players after the game, said the Jets ran a lot of in-breaking routes in the first half, and their halftime adjustment was to move to more out-breaking routes in the second half, and the Vikings were unable to adjust or capitalize. So, maybe that's what led to some of the chunk pass plays that we saw. But the first half defense, go to school on it. A lot of things worked, and a lot of things you can carry over into the last month of the season.
Exactly right. Preparation for the playoffs is the most important thing.
Be prepared. Yes. All right, Dex.
Yeah, I got one for you. Mine would be utilize Jalen Reagor more. Just start utilizing him a little bit more. He had a big play yesterday. I know he had another rushing attempt as well, but when I look at just the reception leads, which is pretty bonkers here, like Justin Jefferson already has 88 receptions, which is absurd. Absurd. A lot of guys would be happy to get there by the end of the season. He's got 88. Adam Thielen has quietly put up 56, which is more than I actually thought he had. But then after that, you have KJ Osborne at 30. TJ Hawkinson's made a great impact in his limited time with 30. I think there is a way to get Jalen Reagor some more touches here and figuring out ways to get him the football more. Obviously, they're comfortable with him on a punt returner. That's why they basically traded for him, because Matt Daniels loved him as a punt returner. They've gotten creative with some handoffs, but I think they can figure out ways to utilize him more in this offense. KJ Osborne is a nice wide receiver 3. I think we kind of thought maybe there's a next gear to him. He's just a solid wide receiver 3. He's got 30 catches for 262 yards. He's basically on pace for a very similar season he had last year. That's clearly his ceiling. Is there something more with the guy who was the 20th overall pick, and I know was more mocked because he went before Justin Jefferson, and the Vikings literally mocked Philadelphia for taking him, but is there more to his game? I'd like to see the Vikings kind of open things up for him more on the offensive side.
Yeah, it's so hard because, again, politics and Thielen's not totally cooked, but Jalen Reagor was a first-round draft pick not that long ago. When he has had some chances, he's looked very explosive. You can tell, like, once he has the ball, there's burst. He's fast. They can use him on jet sweeps. They have found ways to get him chunk plays in the passing game. I'm not saying he replaces Thielen as the number 2 receiver. I don't think he's that trustworthy, but, like, could you find him some extra snaps in there and keep Thielen fresher? All right, Adam, you're going to play, like, half the snaps. Still love you, but we're going to try and keep you fresher. It'd be interesting to see. There's also a reason why the Eagles were just done with him after 2 years. Yeah. So I don't think he's like, I don't think he's Tyreek Hill in the waiting to be unleashed or anything like that. But there's something there. There's definitely something there.
As far as I can tell, he's done nothing here to show that he doesn't deserve more opportunities, though. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I know that his time in Philly certainly didn't go well, but, since he got here, he's done a good job. So I'm with you on Thielen, because Thielen definitely has a role still, and he's still got great hands. Like, there's no denying that. But if you need yak at all, he can't get it now. So, like, if you are, I would think that moving between the 20s, because I think Thielen remains and has been really good at this for a couple of years now, a great red zone target threat. But moving between the 20s, I would think that Reagor and Jefferson could help stretch the field.
Yeah, I think so too. I know. And
I like
Kevin
the
O'Connell,
idea from Dex.
KOC should be able to scheme some stuff up. I jumped in lines. Let's go back to Judd here. Judd, keep the statements train rolling here on this Monday, Mackey and Judd.
All right, choo choo, baby. It's about damn time. It's about damn time. Greg Joseph, to quote